All right, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Dave Kauffman coming to you live from my home in Sarasota, and I'm so excited to be here with you this Thursday because it's been a long time since I've been able to do my every Thursday because I've been traveling so much, working with clients all across this country, from Montana all the way to Illinois. Pennsylvania. Anyway, I love what I do. I love that I get to help people in their business and in their personal life as well. Today, I'm going to ask you 9 tough questions that every CEO, every business owner should look at. So we have Instagram going. I'm just doing a mental check here. Instagram is going. We have the Facebook. We have YouTube. We have the conference call going on. So we've got a lot of different things going on. So if you see me looking somewhere else, that's I'm looking at different cameras. So why don't you do this as we're loading up? Everybody's coming on. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, share this video. So like if you're watching this live, type in the number 4. If you're watching it live, if you're watching the replay, type in the number 7. That way I can kind of keep track of who is live and all of this kind of stuff. So please share it out. I love, love, love when people share my videos. And so these are some questions. The 9 tough questions that I'm going to ask you is the questions that I ask my coaching clients, the ones that pay me the dollars to coach them and to transform their business into a predictable, like profitable turnkey type of a business. And if you want to have that kind of coaching as well, please contact me. So John Miller is watching live. Thank you very much. Go ahead and share this video out, guys. And we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a little bit. So Instagram is loading up. Facebook is loading up. Let's go. Here we go. The first question that I want to ask you is, you can see it scrolling down on the bottom. For those of you on Facebook, you can see that. It says, are you leading your company or running your company? All right. So are you running your company or leading it? And so here's what I want to say. There's only 2 reasons why anyone would ever run. Either something is chasing you or you're chasing something. And you might say, well, what about running for exercise? You're chasing better health, okay? Either way, running is a posture of desperation. If something's chasing you, you're desperate to get away from it. If you are chasing something, if you're running after something, you're desperate to have it. So it's not a posture of power, okay? So when you say you're running a company, you are putting yourself in a posture of desperation. Like you're running. Running is not in control, especially when you're talking about running a business. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start saying, that you are leading a company. See, what your mouth says, your mind starts believing. And so I want you to right now, out loud, say, I'm leading my company, and say your company's name. I lead Empowering Small Business. I lead Gotta Made Cleaning Service. I lead the AmishClock.com versus I run it. Okay? Because when you run something, you're not in a posture of power, but when you lead something, you are. And so that's the first step that I want you guys and gals to start taking in your business, and in whatever even if you're just a manager of a business that somebody else owns, I want you to start leading your department instead of running your department. That's the first step, is to change the way you say something so that you can change the way you think about something, so that you can change the way you do something. You have to think differently before you can do differently. So the question remains, are you running your company or leading it? So how can you tell who is running versus who is leading? The ones racing from one tactical task to the next just to keep the company afloat, those are running the company. So are you out there, are you running from one thing to the other, just like controlling or managing chaos? Are you running your company or are you leading? Are you in front of it, or are you chasing it, or is it chasing you? So you want to lead it. You want to be in a posture of power when it comes to leading your company. Leading is strategic. If CEOs or business owners are running their business, they're forfeiting or giving up the opportunity to strategize and to really plan growth and employee engagement. But if you lead a company, you're leading your company to growth and to, it's kind of like, y'all have heard me talk about this a long time ago. There is no ladder of success. There is a ladder to success, and you lead your company to success. You don't run it to success. Little things make a big difference. You can say I'm splitting hairs about saying I run a company or I lead a company. That's one thing. I'll give you that. You can choose which one you want to say, but I can promise you, I can tell if you're running a company or if you're leading a company by the way your company acts. All right, so let's look at this. Consider the CEO who wants to grow revenue from like 40 to 45 million. So we want him or her to walk us through the steps of what is it going to take to get to 45 million from 40 million. And that tells us whether they have a plan, whether they've actually had time to sit down and think about what are the strategies, what are the things that they're going to have to do to take their company to the next level. And if you're running, you're not leading. Okay, so that's question number one. I want you guys to think about that. I want you to ruminate. Okay, so I grew up on a farm. We had cows, beef cows, and cows do what they call chewing the cud. They eat their food, and then they bring it back up, and then they chew on it. This is what I want you to do with these questions. I don't expect an answer right now. If you want to, you can put in an answer in the comments. But what I really want you to do is I want you to think about these things the next week, the next month. Are you running your company or are you leading the company? All right, let's check the comments. Maynard Miller is listening live. Thank you very much. Go ahead and share this out as much as possible. Get as many people on this call as you can, because we are about to go to number two. Number two of the 9 tough business questions. Are you doing more firefighting or fire prevention? Firefighting or fire prevention. So there's a big difference. I always ask my clients, are you constantly putting out fires, or are you going around your business looking for flammable things and removing those flammable items? Here's what I want you to think. I want to think of your business as a box or as a building, and you have an infrared camera, and you can look at your business through this camera, and you're going to see some hot spots. You're going to see some that are just about ready to catch on fire. And I want you to think about your business in that way. Like if you have departments, I want you to look at each department, focus in with that camera, and really see where are the hot pockets or the hot points. Because at any moment, those hot spots can become a fire, and you're busy putting out fires, or are you out there doing fire prevention? Let's talk about it. So this question digs deep into whether or not the process or systems is on the business owner's agenda. Like, do they have processes? Because here's what I can promise you. If you're constantly putting out fires, you do not have a system. You do not have processes. You do not have procedures. Because maybe you do, they're just not good ones. Because here's what I want you to understand. Your business is what I learned a long time ago, and it changed my life. And I promise you, it'll change yours if you start implementing this process into your brain, into your business, the way you think. Your business is perfectly designed for the results that you're achieving. You're getting what you're getting because of what you're doing. So if you find that you have a lot of hot spots that turn into fires really quickly, it's because you have a process, a system that produces that. And if you don't like that, you have to change the process so that you have a different outcome. Okay, so let's talk about firefighting or fire prevention. A CEO is a firefighter if he or she spends most of their day handling issues. This is a sign that the CEO needs to delegate process improvements to direct reports or employees. And so if you find yourself constantly putting out fires, and that's like you're playing whack-a-mole in your business, you know that game that the little moles pop up and you whack it with a hammer and they make a weird noise as you hit them? Yeah, don't be that business owner. I want you to like eradicate the moles. I want you to take anything flammable out of your business by installing systems, processes that produce a consistent outcome. Here's what I know: inconsistency is what starts fires. Inconsistency in your business will start a fire. When I fly my airplane, if I don't follow the checklist, if I'm not consistent in the way that I manage the cockpit and the way that I start the engine and the way that I fly, the way that I navigate, very likely there's going to be a fire, an emergency, a hotspot. And so consistency, if you do something consistent, we're going to notice that a little bit later in one of the other points. But when you do something consistently, you're going to have a consistent outcome. And one of the ways that you can have a consistent outcome is by having policies, procedures, and systems and processes in place. Okay, so I'm gonna pause a little bit and just teach on a very simple strategy of how I want you to think about writing systems in your business. A lot of business owners says, I want systems, I want processes, but man, who has time to go and write everything down? You do. Because I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how simple it is. Imagine you have a 3-year-old and you want to write a system, a procedure on how that 3-year-old needs to brush his or her teeth. Okay? So here's all I want you to do. I want you to think skeleton. I don't want you to think meat on the bones. I want you to just bare skeleton bones. Okay, so let's say that the process starts while your 3-year-old is still in the bed. And what is the first thing that 3-year-old has to do in order to brush his or her teeth? They have to what? Get out of bed, right? Okay, that's step number 1. Get out of bed. Step number 2, what's step number 2? Say it out loud. Walk to the bathroom. That's step number 2. What's number 3? Grab the toothbrush and the toothpaste. That's step number 3. Number 4, apply toothpaste to toothbrush. That's number 4. I forget where I'm at, but you get the point. Bare bones. And if they tend to like stop and they can't figure out, maybe it's because you need to add a little meat to the bones and tell your 3-year-old to take the lid off of the toothpaste before they apply it. Sometimes people can figure out little things like that, but a lot of times, so what you want to do is you want to start with a skeleton, just the bare bones, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then when people don't figure it out, that's when you start adding meat to the bones and you really start building this process out, because your people will let you know when you need more meat on the bones. I could teach a whole day on how to write systems in your business, because the systems will set you free. All right. I know the Bible says the truth will set you free, but in business, the systems will set you free. And that is so important. All right. So the question is, are you doing more firefighting or fire prevention in your business? One example of firefighting is if a business has a vacancy in customer service for 2 weeks and the CEO's approach is just to hire anybody that fogs a mirror, anybody that, hey, yep, I did customer service back when I was in high school. You're hired. All right. That is not a process. Okay. That's firefighting. That's putting out a fire. That's not being strategic. So if what you want, fire prevention, is when a CEO says, no, we have a process for hiring and we're not going to shortcut this. We're going to make sure that we follow the process, because just like in a business, just like in an airplane, when you don't follow the checklist, guess what? You end up declaring an emergency. So CEOs or business owners can move away from firefighting and into fire prevention by ensuring every department has clear, documented processes. There are processes to sell. There's a process to collect money, a process to send out invoices, even a process on how to onboard new clients or new employees. There's a process for everything. It just needs to be documented. And a lot of people tell me, well, Dave, I don't have any systems in my business. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you have a lot of systems in your business. Either they're good or they're bad. Either they're documented or undocumented. The idea is you want really good systems that produce a reliable outcome, and you want to document it. And I just taught you how a simple way to do it is start with the bones. Step 1, get out of bed. Step 2, walk to the bathroom. Step 3, get your toothpaste and toothbrush. Step 4, apply toothpaste to toothbrush. Step 5, brush your teeth for 5 minutes. That's all you have to do. That's the system. And then you go in there and add detail as you can. And as people start forgetting to take the lid off of the toothpaste, you go in there and add that under step whatever 4, I think it was. Take lid off toothpaste before applying toothpaste. Then you might have an employee that says, well, how much toothpaste? You go back in and you say a pea size of toothpaste. By the way, that's the proper amount of toothpaste that you're supposed to apply to your toothbrush is a pea size. Who knew, right? Yeah, I should have been a dentist. All right, that was number 2. Let's go to number 3, and this isn't a question until the very last of it, but this is what I want you guys to start asking to your employees. This is what I ask to my coaching clients, but I tell them to start asking this to their employees as well. So when your employees come to you with a problem and they say, boss, we've had this problem, it's been going on for about 3 weeks and blah, 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 and they proceed to tell you all about the problem and you're sitting there listening and you're understanding but that the problem is not what should bother you. The problem is, and here's the thing, we don't need to talk about the problem. We need to talk about why the problem hasn't been solved yet. And then here's the magic. You ask that employee, why hasn't it been solved yet? Maybe it's your manager that comes to you and say, hey, just so you know, we've been having this issue for 3 weeks, blah, blah, blah. And he tells you all about it and you're listening. And then you say, well, why hasn't this been fixed yet? Okay, and he or she might say, well, you know what, I thought about some solutions, but I was kind of scared if I would do something it wouldn't work out, then maybe my job was fired. So what is the real problem there? The problem isn't the problem. The problem is the culture that your employees don't feel safe in making decisions, probably because you micromanage so much that you haven't empowered them to make decisions. You haven't empowered them to make some mistakes, and they're scared of their job, so they're not decisive. They don't take action. They procrastinate because they have a bigger problem than the problem. And that's the culture of your company. So I love this quote. I'm going to read it to you. A hearer hears words. A listener hears the intent. Like, what is the intent of what they're saying? When you listen, it gives you the ability of discernment. And through discernment, you can ask the real questions. So the real question is not the problem, it's why the problem hasn't been solved yet. So I want you guys and gals to start using that question with your employees, with your managers when they come to you and say, boss, we have a problem. Listen to them, make sure you hear and understand the problem that they're bringing, but you want to ask them, why hasn't it been fixed? Because the last thing you want to do as a CEO or a business owner is to make your employees depend on you for every answer, because you've got to empower them. Listen, right here, I'm trying to point to it right here. That's my business name, Empowering Small Business. You have to empower your people. Zig Ziglar would say this: you don't grow your business, you grow your people, and then your people will grow your business. I want you to empower your people so you will have an empowered business. Number 4, let's look at it. This is a tough one here. All right. So I want you guys to mentally create 2 big boxes, enough to put your employees in. All right. You're going to put your employees in a box. And on one box, it's going to say participant. And on the other box, it's going to say contributor. So you have 2 boxes. One is participant and the other one is contributor. And you're going to put your employees in one or 2 of those boxes, one or the other. And so the question is, if you would do that, would you have more employees that are in the participant box or the contributor box? So think about that. But while you're thinking it, let me explain to you what a participant is. A participant is a person that comes to work, does his or her work, and leaves. That's it. Don't ask me to do anything else. I'll give you my best while I'm there, but I don't want to get involved. I don't want to improve. You tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. I'm here for a paycheck. At 5 o'clock, I want to go home. That's a participant. All right. The sad thing about it, most business owners would settle for that because contributors are very rare. Contributors are the ones that call you or come to work the next day and say, hey, boss, last night when I was showering or working in my shed or hunting, I was thinking about that problem. And here's how I think we could fix it. And I just wanted to run it by you. That's a contributor. A contributor stays longer, comes early and leaves later, stays longer. They're engaged. They want the company to win. They think about improvements. They contribute. Woo, man, what would happen if our society had more contributors in it? Oh my goodness, it would change the world. Listen, we have become a society of participants. It's about me participating. Give it to me so I can go do what I want to. Instead, we have to be contributors. I mean, that'll preach in church, that'll preach in politics, that'll preach in marriage, it'll preach in business, but we need more contributors in our society. So if you put all of your employees into one of those boxes, would you have more participants or would you have more contributors? Now, the second question that I want to follow up with you on this is if you have, I'm going to step on some toes here, people. If you have more more participants than you do contributors in your business, I'm sorry, I'm going to step on your toes. What does that say about you? What does that say about your leadership? What does that say about your company culture? I'm telling you, you got to think about these things. Do you have more participants or more contributors? Okay. Number 5. Let's go to number 5. And I think I missed number 5. So it's not on here. So I'm sorry, I missed 5 putting it into the queue here. So I'm going to read number 5 and then we'll go to number 6. Do you have any habits that hold you back from being the leader you'd like to be? Do you have any habits that hold you back from becoming the leader that you'd like to be? It could be small things. It could be big things. It could be you're too much of a micromanager, or it could be that you're wired more like me where I don't micromanage at all. In fact, I need to tighten it up a little bit. Sometimes I'm just go do it, figure it out on your own. Those are habits that can keep us from being ineffective as a leader or a business owner or a CEO. Or it could be something that you're so concerned about the numbers that you forget about the people. And you know what? You don't lead numbers, you lead people. All right, somebody type that in. That's good stuff. You don't lead numbers, you lead people. Somebody type that in. That needs to be highlighted. You don't lead numbers, you lead people. That's a habit that a lot of managers have, is because management is all about doing things right. It's about spreadsheets. It's about goals. It's about making sure the numbers are on. But when you forget about the people, See, Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth, says this: systems run the business, but people run the systems. All right. Thank you guys for typing that in. Daniel Slayball says, glad to listen to you again. Well, I'm glad you are able to listen. Stanley says, and people will follow. All right. So I'm waiting on somebody to type that in, that you don't lead numbers, you lead people. Go ahead and type that. That needs to be highlighted. All right, here we go. Enough of that. Let's go to number 6. It's already up on the board. Think about the last direct report or the last employee that left your company. All right, so I want you to think about that. Think about the last person that left your company, whether you fired him or her, or whether they left, or whether they just didn't show up. Here's the question. What percent, as a leader, what percent are you willing to own for that person's departure? See, I learned something from my good buddy Luke Kipfer. He said every leader has a window and every leader has a mirror. And when things are going well, a good leader goes to the window and looks out the window and says, because of my team, because of my people, because of my clients, we have it going on. I could not do it without my people. But when things are not going well, that same leader moves away from the window and goes and stands in front of a mirror and says, what can I do differently? What could have I done to keep that person from leaving? What could have I done to make so that we had a better third quarter? What could have I done that would have made so we could have gotten that contract? See, here's the thing. Until we are 100% willing to take on 100% of responsibility of everything that happens, we can't be truly successful. I remember one time that I was talking to one of my coaches and was dealing with an employee acting out. I think she was stealing something from me, and I was like, yeah, you know, that employee, blah blah blah, you know, it was her fault, you know, and all of this. And my coach said, well, whose fault is it? I said, it's hers. She was the one that did it. He said, no, it's not. He put his finger right here and tapped me and said, it's your fault, bro. It's your fault. Because here's what I know. When I place the blame on somebody else, I place the responsibility on that person. In other words, I de-empower. I disempower myself because I've given them that responsibility of it's on them. But when I take it and I say it's my responsibility, I have just empowered myself to fix that problem. It's my problem that that person could steal from my company. It's my fault that I didn't set up something that triggered me to something being stolen. It's my fault that I didn't build a system that kept people from doing stuff. Okay? That's what a system is. This is you want my redneck version or description of what a system is? Here it is. I came up with this a long time ago because I am a redneck, believe it or not. I grew up on a farm. I love the country, but here's the deal. A system is a lighted pathway with high walls that keep people from doing stupid things. That's what a system is. It's a lighted pathway with high walls that keep people from doing stupid things. That's it. That's my redneck version of what a system is. I love it. All right. You don't lead numbers, you lead people. Thank you, Harvey. I appreciate you. All right. Let's go to, well, let's keep talking about number 6. That person that just left. How much are you willing to say, I could have done something different? I was talking with a client the other day and I asked this question and he said, oh yeah, I could have done a lot of things differently. I could have paid more quicker. Said this guy was talking to him for almost 3 or 4 months saying that, hey, I can get a job for more. You need to raise your salary. He said, I just didn't do it. And he was my best employee and he left. Okay. So think about the last person that left your company. What percent of that employee's departure are you willing to own as a business owner, as a manager, as a direct report, whatever, as a team leader? How much are you willing to own? How much time do you spend in front of the mirror versus the window? It's crucial. Listen, if we want our company to become better, we have to become better. We have to become more intentional. All right, number 7. Let's go. Number 7. Here's a question. I want you guys to answer this out loud. I know I can't hear you, but I want you to answer it. Why would somebody want to work at your company? Like, I want you to give me 10 reasons why I should come work for your company. What will I learn? What will I become? What will I say about you 30 years from now when I have my own business that you taught me? Why would somebody want to work for your company? And if you can't answer that, I can promise you, you don't have a great company culture. I had to laugh. I was coaching a guy the other day, and I said, I was talking about company culture. He said, "Oh, yeah. We have a great company culture." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, yeah. People love it." I said, "Well, what's your culture?" And he looked at me. It was over the phone, but he looked at me like a deer in a headlight. He didn't know what his culture was. And if you can't define your culture, you don't have a good culture. And here's the cool thing about it. As business owners, as CEOs, you can decide what your culture is. It's kind of like a legacy. You're going to have a legacy whether you like it or not. You're going to have a legacy whether you are intentional or not. So why not be intentional about your legacy? Why not live your life in a way that will give the legacy that you want to have? Same thing as a business culture. You're going to have a culture. You might not can describe it, but your employees can. You might not can pinpoint exactly what the culture is, but your customers can see that that culture is one that nobody can pinpoint. It's all over the place. But when you become intentional about your culture in your company, I promise you, you'll be able to say, this is why you'll want to work for me. Okay? Or work at my company. All right, number 8. We are wrapping this puppy up. Here's the deal. You know how in smartphones, about every month, 2 months, they come up with a new version or an update. All right, I think right now we're on like 12 point something. I forget what update I'm on with my phone. But I want you to think about this. Think about you as 3.0 right now. All right, so like Dave 3.0. That's who I am right now, because I promise you a year ago, I was not Dave 3.0. I was Dave maybe 2.0. All right. So think about who you are right now. And then here's where it gets crazy, but I want you to go crazy. I want you to think, what is your next update going to look like? What is 4.0 going to look like? What do you have to learn? What skills do you have to learn in order to take your business to the next level? Anytime there's an update, there's an improvement. Okay? Or at least that's the idea of it. So what does insert your name 4.0 look like? What does Dave Kauffman 4.0 look like? What do I need to learn to be able to take my company and my personal life to the next level? Maybe it's just simple as learning Spanish. Maybe it's as simple as taking a class to learn QuickBooks better. Maybe it's becoming a master network marketing guy, like learning how to network. So what is 4.0 of you going to look like? How are you going to improve the next time I see you? How are you going to become better? What skills do you need to learn? So chew that cud for the next 3 or 4 weeks, months, years. How is the next version of you going to look like? All right, last one. You ready for it? This is another one of those imaginations. You got to go out there and imagine something. So here it is. Imagine that you fast forwarded to the end of this year, December 31st, 2021. And you're standing on the edge of the new year coming up, but you turn around and you look past back into this year. Okay, I'm trying to paint this picture for you guys that aren't watching me. There's a lot of people on the conference call. So you fast forward, go to the end of the year, and you look back over this year. Here's the question. What would have to happen in order for you to say that this year was a very meaningful year for you personally and for your business. And you might wonder, why am I asking this question? The reason is it's kind of hard for us to look where we are and look where we're not. Okay? And so it's easier to look back and say what would have to happen. In other words, I'm trying to trick you into setting goals. That's what I'm trying to do. And it's easier to think back and kind of imagine what could happen instead of looking forward and setting goals and wondering if you will meet them. So here's the deal. Goal setting can be a tricky task. This question is designed to take the pressure off of facing down an entire year, instead asking the leader to imagine being in the future and looking back at a year well lived. So think about it. In your business, what would have to happen in order for you to say, wow, this was the best, most meaningful year of our business life? What kind of contracts would you have to win? What kind of sales would you have to have? What kind of employee engagement would you have to have? What would an employee have to say to you to make this year a really meaningful year? What would be meaningful? And then do the same thing for your personal life, and as a family man, or as a, in your personal life. What would have to happen this year to make it the best year of your life? One of the things that business owners have forgotten to do, and it's what created their business in the first place, is to imagine. See, your business was once an imagination. Maybe not yours, but it was somebody else. Maybe you bought the business. But if you started a business, you imagined that business first. And then we get so busy doing our business, we get so busy doing, that we forget to imagine. We forget to keep dreaming. We forget to improve that imagination that we had in the first place, and we're just working doing. God didn't create human doers. He created human beings. All right? So those are the 9 tough questions that I like to ask business owners that really get them off of their path and onto a better frame of mind, thinking about what it is that will take their business to the next level. And hey, I'm just going to plug my coaching for a second here if I can. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. But if you want to take your business to the next level, we have a program that gives you unlimited access to me. Unlimited access to me, and I can help you take your business to the next level. If you're interested, call my office, 813-580-8920, and ask for a free strategy call, 30 minutes with me, and we'll get you started on that different track that will take you your business to the next level. All right. Thanks everybody for sharing. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the comments. In fact, we have some more comments. Let me see what we got. You need to always have an exit interview with someone who quits or resigns from your company, because you can immediately learn something new or to do differently. Absolutely, Stan. You want to work for my company because we offer a great experience. Like what? I want to know what that experience is, Stan. And if it's cool enough, I might actually jump over and help you. Not really. But I appreciate that. You want that great experience, but what kind of experience? What will I learn? What will I become? What will challenge me? Those are the questions you need to answer. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will talk to you guys later. And thanks, Instagram, for hanging in there. Thanks, Facebook, YouTube, and the conference call. I love you guys. Have a great weekend, and happy Memorial Day coming up.